The start to this post was not the one we anticipated in November when I accepted. But you've just got to make do with what you've got. Thankfully, technology came to the rescue. My normal habitat is not sitting in front of a laptop for hours on end, but in these times we have to adapt and evolve. So my first few weeks were literally hitting the phone and the internet to get an idea of what was going on in the cluster. George, Nikki and Bill guided me to some organisations, but left me to fully explore the area virtually. The only exception to this routine was a day where I was given permission to have a run around the 3 parishes. That was the dawning of how large an area I was going to be covering, but it was also a consolidation of the information I'd gathered over the previous weeks. I gained an understanding of some of the difficulties that were in the area too. There were some projects which had been discussed before I came, and I had been asked to develop them. It was the chance to do that which attracted me to the post in the first place. Unfortunately, most of them could only happen once we were living with less restrictions. This is where the Lent challenges come in. This was something we could use to reach out to our communities. One of the most regular contributors to the Lego challenge were Brydson Primary, who submitted pictures most days. The teacher informed me one day that the challenge had encouraged a group of girls who wouldn't normally go near the Lego to join in. Knowing from my previous job in schools, I know how hard it can be to get girls into STEM subjects, which are science, technology, engineering and maths. And to think that a faith-based challenge has encouraged that is just amazing. A turning point at the end of January was Deaconic Council. As a deacon, I have a twice yearly commitment to attend our gatherings. January is usually a 1-day meeting and June is normally 3. Obviously, this is online at present. I'm also on the executive for the Deaconic Council. So I knew about the COVID grant and I knew it was going to be announced, but I hadn't really thought about using it up until that weekend. I had a few ideas and this would help finance them. Once, as a cluster, we'd agreed on the rough outline of the projects, I made an application and as you know, I was delighted that all 3 were accepted for funding. It came at the perfect time as restrictions were beginning to lift and this meant I could comfortably start to travel a little easier. The Bags of Love at Douglas Valley came about from just talking to various folks from the congregation and also just some of the different organisations that are involved in the community there. It was decided that we could link in with Healthy Valley's food larder at Rigside. So we decided that we could make up some bags for children and some bags for adults, and as you can see from the photographs what was put into them, there was some activity books, sweets, craft activities for the children and some hot drink treats for the adults with some biscuits and some chocolate. The adult ones have been getting distributed to users of the food larder who get their things delivered to them, and the children's ones are going to be distributed through the primary school at Rigside. I'll speak more on the community growing project shortly, but we were able to give out 105 growing sacks with some potatoes in them, 60 bags of compost, and in total 75 kilograms of seed potatoes. All 10 schools in the cluster have also pledged to join in on this project. As it says on the slide, every day is a learning day. Lifelong learning is an expectation both as a deacon and an MDS employee. Thanks to the use of the internet, it has never been easier to attend training all over the country. So far, I've attended webinars on the following: Outdoor Church, Introduction to Anna Chaplaincy. Our own Ministers Forum had a webinar series on life in the church after lockdown. There's been a couple of intergenerational church after COVID events that I've attended online. Also, eco congregations have had a couple of things I've been able to watch. And I've also completed the full Anna Chaplaincy course. A big part about this job is about building hopefully long-lasting links with various individuals and organisations. That's tentatively happening just now with Rigside Food Larder, who have asked me to come along on a more regular basis. And also they've now given me the opportunity to be involved in some of their walks, which help and counteract social isolation. Also, both Douglas and Rigside Primary are keen for me to go into the school once restrictions are lifted and to be part of the life there. So that's the story so far. While we've been doing all of these things, there has been other ideas being developed. This is the beginning, hopefully, of a project aiming to help with food security and resilience in our cluster. It was inspired by an elder at Upper Clyde who became aware that there was very little fresh produce in food parcels. We'll see how this develops over the coming months. Ideally, we will be able to link into similar food growing projects throughout the Clyde Valley. The Bereavement Project is under construction at the moment. Yet again, it came from an idea of an elder. At present, we're trying to develop a resource library which will be available both to the community and to anyone who accesses the service. Healthy Valleys will help to promote this, as this has been an area they've been trying to look at, but just don't have the manpower to carry it out, and are fully supportive of what we're trying to do. Eventually, we will aim to meet in a couple of villages in the cluster each month, offering a drop-in and chat format. Farming chaplaincy is something which was already being looked at before I started. George and the others have laid a groundwork for this. And George encouraged me to get in touch with the Reverend Chris Blackshaw, who's the farming chaplain in Ayrshire and part of the Pioneer Ministries post sponsored by the Church of Scotland. Chris has such a deep passion and enthusiasm for his role. It's really infectious. Once we're allowed back into the mart, we hope to be able to go and start to do something with this project. I've also been trying to get links with other farming related groups like the National Farmers Union, Young Farmers, and even people like vintage machinery enthusiasts. Another project which we're looking at and are maybe a bit further on than the others is Anna Chaplaincy. So, what is Anna Chaplaincy? These words on the screen are taken from the Anna Chaplaincy Handbook, summing up in a short way what the chaplaincy is all about. Anna Chaplaincy is about nurturing spirituality in its broadest sense. It is non-judgmental, person-centred spiritual care for people of all faiths and none. Anna Chaplaincy has taken off in England and Wales since it was first established in Alton by Debbie Thrower in 2010, and then becoming part of the BRF, which is the Bible Reading Fellowship, in 2014. I've been aware of Anna Chaplaincy for at least the last 7 years and hoped to become involved in it one day, but I have modelled a lot of my ministry on its principles and ideas. Anna Chaplaincy is a complementary, dedicated chaplaincy to older people. It is there to complement, support and enhance pastoral care in our parishes and communities. It's not meant to replace what should already be and is happening. It's an ecumenical initiative which aims to improve the standard of spiritual care for older folks. There are around 150 ANA chaplains or equivalents and ANA friends in the UK. ANA chaplains and friends advocate for older people as much as they can. ANA chaplains walk alongside people, listen to and hold their stories with care and compassion. The chaplaincy is not just for the person, but also for their family, friends and carers. An ANA chaplain is appointed and authorised by and accountable to their local church grouping, not BRF. ANA chaplaincy can be for ordained or lay individuals. It can be voluntary or paid. There is a time commitment of around a day a week, but for those interested and who do not have the same time to give, they can become ANA friends. In my case, we're looking to include this in my role as community outreach worker, so I'll remain accountable to my line manager. As time goes on, and hopefully as we have more interested individuals who wish to be involved, we will arrange line management of some form for our volunteers. The beauty and attraction of ANA chaplaincy is that it's unique to its locality. It can and will be based around the gifts of those who become involved. There are also opportunities through the ANA Chaplaincy Network for training and support of all chaplains and friends. So why ANA Chaplaincy? The number of people over 60 is increasing, and the number of those over 85 is set to double in the next 20 years. We're living longer and mostly in good health, and still trying to seek purpose in life beyond work. Coming into the third and fourth ages of life can cause us to question where we find meaning in our lives. An ANA chaplain has a gift of time, which can sometimes be hard to find in parish ministry. ANA chaplaincy is about fulfilling a need for spiritual care in our communities, especially when the biggest majority of them do not come to church. We need to go out to them. As I said earlier, ANA chaplains are advocates for their communities. I'm learning that this area is at times a forgotten part of Lanarkshire, even more so if you're older. For me, there was nothing more saddening as watching people in their 70s and 80s using the food larder at Rigside. The anger I feel from that will encourage me to become a thorn in the side of our newly elected politicians over the coming months. So when should we be aiming to have this up and running? Basically now. We've had the most gruelling, isolating 14 months since the pandemic started. Many people of all ages are feeling lonely, vulnerable and isolated. As you're all aware, our churches had to physically close their doors to protect their communities just at the time when we've been needed most, when people were and are looking for spiritual care and comfort. Locally, we have been able to give some spiritual comfort to those who have been able to engage with online church, but there are just as many who haven't, whether through choice or circumstance. Some churches have addressed this in the best way they can, following pandemic protocols. For some who have chosen to engage, they've discovered that the digital side of life does bring benefits. And in the case of one 90-year-old widow friend I spoke to recently, it has been a lifesaver, as she's been able to see friends and family all round the country from the safety of her home. We're being continually reminded by the press we're facing a mental health crisis. So if now is not the right time, when is? You also have me, a community outreach worker, who can help with this side of ministry. I've already completed the training to be an ANA chaplain. I have the ability But more importantly, I have the passion for this project. And that will help free up your ministers to concentrate on other parish matters. So, how is this going to happen? There's a lot to do to put the chaplaincy in place. George and I have had a meeting earlier today with the Anna chaplaincy folks to learn more about how to move forward. In the community, it can be about organising groups for older people, those with dementia and other age-related conditions, or to partner with other organisations with similar goals and ethos, for example, Heart for Art or Healthy Valleys. For our Anna chaplaincy, we have worked out a framework of short to medium term projects. Some of these can be done while we're living under pandemic restrictions. The aim of having several different options to the chaplaincy project is to cater for different gifts and talents. For example, before I came into ministry, I would have been reluctant to be involved in nursing homes, but I would have been happy to be involved in making things for use in the care homes. The first project we'd like to offer is a chance to produce twiddle muffs and twiddle mats. These help to reduce fidgeting and can bring about a sense of calm, especially in people with dementia-related conditions. I've witnessed the benefits of these firsthand. We have a link with Green Hills Nursing Home and have spoken about a pen pal project where a resident would be partnered up with someone, perhaps from the area they came from, and just share news from the area and to build up a friendship. This would be especially useful for those residents who have no friends or relatives visiting on a regular basis. Also, with the care homes in mind, we're exploring the idea of getting people to send postcards to the home from places they've been visiting, even fairly local places, as this can unlock forgotten memories. We're keen for the schools to get involved too, by encouraging them to send postcards and pictures that they've created at special times of the year, like Armistice, Christmas, Easter, Halloween and Harvest. We would look to help schools in this by offering them with help with their post-packaging costs if they needed it. It would be part of our short-term plan to have people record themselves, either by video or audio, reading favourite children's stories, which could then be offered to the schools or out onto the cluster YouTube channel. There are children who, for whatever reason, don't have access to an older person in their lives. The lady who inspired me with this idea hasn't any young children in her life anymore, and really misses the chance of telling stories. Mid to long term, we're looking at providing services for the care homes in whatever format is appropriate at that time, given that sometimes, as well as COVID, norovirus and the flu can have an effect on being able to go into a care home. This could include playlists of favourite hymns for a Songs of Praise style service, but also personalised worship for smaller groups, and maybe even the introduction of Messy Vintage, which is a similar concept to Messy Church. Reminiscence projects would eventually be a significant part of the Anna chaplaincy too, hopefully working in partnership with our local museums at Biggar, Wanlock Head, Lead Hills, and any others who were willing and interested to work with us. This could be done in various ways, whether it's just with small groups looking at pictures over cuppa and a cake, or it can be by recording people's stories, whether on video or on audio files. This is the vision so far. The beauty of this project, as mentioned earlier on, is that it's open to be developed in tandem with the gifts, talents and interests of those who become involved. Like everything, we need to fund this project, and this is why we're applying to the Presbytery Variance Fund. So where? Initially, the project will be a cluster project between Douglas Valley, Tinto and Upper Clyde. Eventually, it does have the potential to be Presbytery-wide though. The other day, My daily devotional came out with these words from Donovan Leitch's song Little Church. If you want your dream to be, take your time, go slowly. Do few things, but do them well. Heartfelt work grows purely. If you want to live life free, take your time, go slowly. Do few things, but do them well. Heartfelt work grows purely. Day by day, stone by stone, build your secret slowly. Day by day, you'll grow too. You'll know heaven's glory. So, who can be involved? That's an easy question to answer. Anyone who's interested. So I hope you've enjoyed this presentation and maybe got a better feel for some of the things that we're trying to do through my role. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about what you've heard in this presentation. But also I'd love to hear any thoughts and hopes and dreams that you have for now or the future. Thank you.